We are just a couple days away now from midterms. Republicans and Democrats now making their closing arguments to voters. So what issues will they be focusing on? Joining us now, Britt Hume, Fox News senior political analyst. Britt, good morning to you. What issues will they focus on? Obviously, a much different question. What issues should they focus on? Healthcare, the economy. Start with Republicans, Britt.
Well, what happens in these midterm elections, of course, is that each party emphasizes the issues most helpful to their cause, determined in some measure by what the polls show. So Democrats talk about health care, which they think helps them. Republicans talk about the economy and immigration, issues they think help them. In the meantime, of course, as we parse the issues and determine which side emphasizes what, the looming presence in this election, and perhaps the dominant factor, is none other than the President of the United States. He's not on the ballot, of course, but he's campaigning up a storm out there, as you've seen, and people's feelings about the President are very important in how they vote in a midterm election. So as you watch these events, for example, these hideous events of the past week, and people's reaction to them, the President's reaction to them, those things may be at least as important, maybe more important than anything the candidates are saying on the trail.
Fascinating. You know, you talk about only a few days left. A lot can change in those days leading up to the midterm elections. The polling is interesting. Here's the latest Fox News polling on the congressional elections. Those issues that are extremely important to the voter. Healthcare, 58% topping the list. Economy, a close second, 54%. And President Trump coming in third there. Immigration and the SCOTUS nomination closely following behind. Should Republicans be focusing more on health care? Ned Ryan had this to say in his latest piece published on FoxNews.com. Republicans should embrace health care reform. Let's face it, Obamacare didn't work, plain and simple. Besides, Americans want and deserve something better. It's time for Republicans to lean in on health care, not shy away from it. It should be a key message in the final weeks and days of campaigning and a central focus of Congress during the lame duck session. Britt?
Well, it's an interesting idea, Sandra, but you've got to figure out first what exactly it is that you're going to say about health care. I mean, we had, Republicans ran on the repeal of Obamacare, and they tried to do it, and it failed. And they were able, through the tax cut bill, to cut the mandate out, and that took a big pillar of Obamacare down. But right now they're kind of caught with no clear message. I'm not sure that emphasizing that issue helps them at all. After all, why would you want to talk so much about an issue that all the polling shows helps the Democrats? So I'm Mr. Ryan, with all due respect, I think he may be off base there. And remember, Sandra, that this is really a great deal about turnout. And midterms tend to be. Turnout is obviously lower than it is in a presidential year. I've seen presidents like President Trump is going out and campaigning up a storm to try to save their party in the midterms. Bill Clinton in 1994 campaigned all over the place. I was covering the White House at the time. I'll never forget it. I was exhausted from following him. And he was, remember, you may recall, Sandra, that the Republicans had what they called a contract with America, which was a set of issues they were going to act upon. And Clinton ran around calling it the contract on America. And I didn't have any way of knowing at the time whether that resonated or not, his message. It didn't. And, he lost the House, the Republicans won the House of Representatives in what was considered then a major upset. So it's a little hard to measure the effect of a president's campaigning. And, President Trump obviously thinks he's doing just the right thing. And maybe in the age of Trump it is. But based on past experience, it's hard to tell. We don't know whether we're living in a new age in which everything is different or not, and this election will tell us something about that.
What you do hear the president talk a lot about is that migrant caravan heading for the U.S. border. How is that issue going to play for him? Well,
that issue, I think he feels, is a gift to him and his party, because people look at that and they say, wait a minute, we don't want a bunch of people marching up through Mexico, banging on the door and saying, you got to let us in. That doesn't seem right to people, so it's an issue that can motivate Republican voters. And it's an issue that's a little awkward for Democrats because they have difficulty saying exactly what we ought to do about these poor people who really are coming from terribly distressed countries and obviously are in search of a better life. That's the kind of country you want to have, the country that people want to come to. So that's an issue I think, the president believes, I think a lot of Republicans believe help him. But election day will have come and gone before those people get really close to our border. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out in the voting.
We will indeed. Britt Hume, great to have you on to start things
Thank you,
off on
Sandra.
Monday morning.